Hey, welcome back. I am Jeff Miyake Aquascaping, and this is one of my aquariums in my home studio. Today, I thought I'd give you just a quick tour of what I'll have going on this side. These is my filter pipes and my auto top-off system. I've gotten quite a few questions on this back here, and it works in conjunction with this skimmer attachment here. So I thought I'd share today with what I've got going on so that you can also maybe take a look and implement something like this on your systems. But there's a few things you need to watch out for. Let's start with the skimmer. So I have here the skimmer going. You can see it's rotating away and it's bobbing up and down and pulling all sorts of air into the filter. You can see it purging here. And I really would like this to work, but I never was able to get it to stop bobbing up and down. Even when I dial it in, there's a screen on the bottom that allows you to adjust how much comes in from the bottom intake versus how much comes in from the skimmer top. So even with playing with this, I can't get it stable. Even if I get it stable for a little bit, things change. Maybe little plants get on the intake screen on below, and it'll start bobbing and sucking air. Yeah, so while this spins around real cool and stuff, it looks really neat. It probably would keep shrimp and small fish from going down your intake pipe, which for me is a huge problem. I'm going to show you that in a second. We're going to clean the pre-filter, and I'm going to show you how many shrimp I get in my pre-filter in 1 week. So you can see it spinning. I can't get it stable, so for me that doesn't work. I've got to be able to leave town. I use this one right here. So this design right here with the forks versus this here with the spinning crown. So this one here with just the tines on it seems to be very stable. It just kind of sits there. It doesn't bounce up and down. The only thing is it's really hard to get enough surface skimming in here. It floats quite well. So there's this little piece of equipment here by Tim Christensen. You can find him on Instagram. And all it is a weight, and it fits perfectly in these tines. And it sits the little skimmer down a little bit deeper in the water, and it pulls just the right amount. I've been running this for, well, since the beginning of June, July, August, so almost 3 months, and it has worked perfectly. I'm super, super happy with this solution. So my water surface stays crystal clear. Crystal clear water, it looks good, but also aids in oxygen getting into the system because that's the only place it can, because it's a closed canister filter. So it's really important to keep this crystal clear. Before I started running these, I would have film and my tanks were never as nice. As soon as I started running these skimmers, and whether it be a mechanical one like this or the little power skimmers, like there was a Crystal Skim, it does an amazing job keeping your aquarium clean. Because I was messing around dialing in that turning spiral looking one, I screwed up the intake on the bottom. That's why it kept bobbing. So I fixed that. This will be quite stable. This skimmer weight here actually has a bunch of ball bearings in here that you can put more in or take some out just to get the weight right. I found I need about half of them to get this dialed in for my skimmer. And that'll depend on the size of the filter, the flow rate, all that kind of stuff, what skimmer attachment you have. But yeah, and then the other thing about this, I like this. It doesn't add anything to the chores because it sits above the water. Anything above the water, typically you don't have to clean regularly. So I like that aspect of it. And I also carry on hand 2 of these for each tank so that at maintenance time, I can just take this and then go put it into a hot soaking solution, not a solution, but water, hot boiling water. And then take the fresh one, put it in here while that one's being cleaned, and then I just keep swapping them out. And then that way, keeping this clean and like this, super simple. Oxygen is so important, and it's often very much an overlooked component of an aquarium. So these skimmers work best if the water level stays even. And that's where the auto top off comes in. So it becomes a very big chore to keep topping this off every day or every other day. So for me, this is a critical component to reducing the amount of hassle that it takes to have an aquarium. So here I have a Tunze. I think this is the 3152, the nano system. It consists of a float valve. And you can see here it's the tubing that the water comes out of and into the tank. It's adhered here by a magnet. And I've had this on here. I've had this particular unit for years and years and never had an issue. This system here keeps the level of the water where you want it. So we can turn this on. So now you can see the water is coming out. Let's put it back to where it was. So you can set your water level just by sliding this magnet up and down. Yeah, so the thing with this is, if it were to stick on, for whatever reason, malfunction, something got jammed in the float valve, like a plant or something where it couldn't come back up, and this kept putting water into the tank, it obviously would overflow. It'd be a huge mess. It's everyone's nightmare, right? The tank floods the house. So this unit here actually shuts off after 1.8 minutes. I don't know how they came up with this number, but 1.8 minutes, this will shut off on its own. And what will happen is the pump will sit there and pulse and let you know that it's in an air state, and you have to power it off, power it back on manually to get the thing to work again. So there's some safeguard in this. Then also, another way you can control the amount of water that it will overflow in the case of an emergency where it breaks down is have a smaller reservoir. For some of you, that may not be sufficient enough. Any amount of flooding would be a disaster. So you'll have to evaluate for yourself if something like this will work for you. My floors in here are concrete slab with a rubber membrane and then industrial carpet tiles on top. I've put so much water on this floor without issue. I designed it that way a long time ago because it's an aquarium gallery. But if you have hardwood floors or whatnot, this may not be for you. But if you're in a similar situation with your flooring and flooding is not a problem, yeah, check it out. So let's take a quick look at how many shrimp are in this pre-filter. Okay, to change out the pre-filter, I get this here container. My towel goes right here over the pre-filter because it is under a little bit of pressure, and it will squeeze a little bit of water out when I pop it open. I have this on a switch here, so I can just turn it off. You throw the valve here to shut off the water flow. Again, we got the towel over here. We're going to open up the skimmer. You can probably hear that little bit of release. And let's see, a little bit difficult to do with one hand. So here is the pre-filter. Just pop it in the container, and we're going to take this over to the bathroom. This is so much easier to do with with two hands, I should say. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to put this on the tripod. Just give me a second. Okay, so here's the OASE pre-filter. Just pop this here. And then already see just on the sponge itself. Look at how many shrimp. I know, it's crazy. All right, let's get this dialed in. Lead me a little closer. This is so hard to film by yourself. Okay. Yeah, so I really wish that spinning one would work. These guys, this is 1 week. This is not even very many. There's usually more. So now I have to separate out all the debris and then put the shrimp back into the tank. Yeah, it's frustrating. But separating these is really not too bad. I can pour off all this leaf litter and then basically add some more water from the tank, dip this into the tank, add some more water, spill it off, do that a couple times, and then there'll be a little bit of debris still in there, but I don't care. There's a lot of little shrimplets in there too that you can't see on camera that I'd lose otherwise if I did like a net. So yeah, there you have it. So this is a result of having a skimmer. Yeah, so this is the intake that comes with the OASE. It has a fine screen on here. I've used this on the Candlelit Cove Paludarium, and I never have any shrimp in the pre-filter. It's only because I'm using the skimmer and they like to go over the top and find all the tasty food in the sponge and the pre-filter. I swear it's probably the same shrimp. I figured out there's lots of food down there. And it doesn't harm them in any way. They go down into that pre-filter chamber, and then they're just on that sponge. You saw when I took that off how that is. So the way the OASE works is it goes into that chamber, and then the water gets pulled through the sponge, through the intake tube, and then into the other chambers, and then out through the outflow. So yeah, they're never harmed. They're fine. In fact, I think they prefer it. So, otherwise, I'm sure these shrimp have been down in this pre-filter multiple times. So whatever, it's just kind of a pain to clean the pre-filter every time. But yeah, there you have it. We have the ATO. Oh yeah, so the last thing, let's just take a look at the reservoir and wrap this up. Okay, so in the closet back here, let's turn on the light. You can see this is the reservoir here. So you've got the pump down there, and then you notice this valve right here. This is a float valve to this piece of tubing right here. And what that does is allows me to hook up my RO system. So I have an RO system from back when I had a reef tank, and otherwise I wouldn't use that. But it makes it really nice because I can set that up and not worry about flooding while filling the reservoir, because that used to happen. So every one of my reservoirs now has a float valve on it that I can simply hook up. I'll show you here. That I can simply hook up. Right here. So this just right on. And then this has a valve on here so I can turn it on and off so I don't spill. But yeah, so again, it's back when I had a reef tank and I bought a bunch of stuff from these folks. It's running off a booster pump because you want this to have it at least 90 PSI, but that's for another day. So there you have it. That's what all of this here on the side is. I've kind of tweaked this over the years to fit what I need, and I find that this makes life so much easier for me. So you may want to consider auto top off if you don't have expensive hardwoods underneath, and definitely get yourself a skimmer, whether it be on the intake like this, or a separate unit like the Crystal Skim 350 or 600. That is a powered skimmer that you can place in the tank, plug it in, it'll keep the water surface very clear. Those two things have made a huge difference in the aquascaping hobby for myself. So hopefully that helps you. Less talking, more scaping. By the way, I have some new stuff coming. We're going to actually do less talking, more scaping. I'm not even sure I'm going to say a word because the reason I started all this was to do more scaping. And I haven't been doing that. I've done some, but let's take a look what I got going on here.